The Israeli passport is a travel document issued to Israeli citizens to enable them to travel outside of Israel, and entitles the bearer to the protection of Israel's consular officials overseas. Israeli citizens are allowed to hold passports of other countries, but are required to use the Israeli passport when entering and leaving Israel. This regulation was introduced officially in 2002, after having been legally contested on several occasions. History: Israeli passports began to be issued in 1948, after the Israeli Declaration of Independence on May 14, 1948, and used Hebrew and French texts. At first they were not defined as a passport but as a travel document. This changed in 1952 when Israel began to introduce the first travel document as a passport. They began to be issued late that year. The first travel document was issued to Golda Meir, who at the time worked for the Jewish Agency and was soon to become Israel's ambassador to the USSR. The first Israeli passports bore the limitation, valid to any country except Germany. An Israeli citizen who wished to visit Germany had to ask that the words "except Germany" be deleted from their passport. This was done manually by drawing a line through these words. After the signing of the reparations agreement between Israel and West Germany in 1952, the limitation was withdrawn and passports became valid to all countries. On March 30, 1980, new regulations issued by the Minister of the Interior required Israeli passports to use Hebrew and English, instead of Hebrew and French. Subsequently, French texts were replaced by English texts. In 2006, an Israeli passport became accepted for identification in general elections. Until then, only an internal identity card was accepted for this purpose. Denial or withdrawal of an Israeli passport is one of the sanctions an Israeli rabbinical court may use to enforce divorce upon a husband who chains his wife into marriage against her will. Since 2013, biometric passports are being introduced, in line with standards used by the United States, European Union and other countries. To obtain a biometric passport, an applicant will have to appear in an Interior Ministry office to be photographed by the special camera which records information such as facial bone structure, distance between one's eyes, ears to eyes and ratio of facial features one from another. One will also be fingerprinted and all this information will be contained in the new high-tech electronic passport. Description: Israeli passports are navy blue, with the Israeli emblem in the center of the front cover, below the words State of Israel in both Hebrew and English. The word passport is inscribed below the emblem, also in Hebrew and English. The inner pages are decorated with the Israeli emblem of olive branches and the seven-branched menorah. The regular passport contains 32 pages, and the business passport contains 64 pages. Israeli passports are valid for up to 10 years for persons over the age of 18. They are bilingual, using Hebrew and English. Since Hebrew is written from right to left, the passports are opened from their right end and their pages are arranged from right to left. Arabic is not used in Israeli passports, even though it is one of the official languages of Israel, and is used in internal identity cards. Identity information page. Israeli passport information appears on page 2, and includes the following: photo of passport holder on the left, type, code of state, passport no. Israeli ID no. Surname, given name, nationality, date of birth, sex, place of birth, date of issue, date of expiry, authority, signature of bearer. All information appears both in Hebrew and English. The information page ends with a machine-readable zone. Signature of bearer is to follow on page 3. Passport note: the statement in an Israeli passport declares in Hebrew and English. The Minister of the Interior of the State of Israel hereby requests all those whom it may concern to allow the bearer of this passport to pass freely without let or hindrance and to affords him such assistance and protection as may be necessary. Travel document: Israel may issue a travel document to a person who does not have an Israeli or foreign passport which allows the person to enter and leave the country, and to travel. It may be issued in the following circumstances: to a non-citizen resident who does not have another passport, for example a stateless person, to Israeli citizens in lieu of a passport, for example for those who lost their passports overseas, to foreigners in the country to allow them to leave the country, for example in cases of foreigners who infiltrated to Israel and are deported, or foreigners who need to leave the country for any other reason and are unable to obtain a passport from another country. Holders of a travel document may not be entitled to the same visa-free entry to certain countries as holders of a standard Israeli passport. The use of a travel document to leave Israel does not, of itself, entitle the holder to enter another country nor to return to Israel. Travel document in lieu of passport. A travel document in lieu of passport may be issued to an Israeli citizen in a number of circumstances, in the first year after migration or have not settled in the country. Dual nationals and foreign residents. Israeli citizens with criminal record. Israeli citizens who have lost or destroyed over 3 passports. Israeli citizens who are naturalized, received a passport but do not show an intention to settle in Israel. Israeli citizens who have lost their passport during an overseas trip. Israeli citizens who are returning to Israel by decision of the Israeli government. They are normally valid for 2 years, and not for more than 5 years. Travel document for foreigners. A travel document may be issued to Arab residents of East Jerusalem who have neither Israeli nor Jordanian citizenship, and to non-Israeli Arab residents of the Golan Heights. Visa requirements and limitations on passport use. Visa requirements. According to the Henry Visa Restrictions Index 2014, Israeli passport holders have visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to 147 countries and territories, ranking the Israeli passport 20th in terms of travel freedom. Limitations on use by Israel. Under Israeli law, Iran, Pakistan, Iraq, Libya, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Syria and Yemen are designated enemy states, and an Israeli citizen may not visit them without a special permit issued by the Israeli Interior Ministry. An Israeli citizen who visits any of these countries, whether using an Israeli or foreign passport, may be prosecuted on their return to Israel. The original list was set in 1954, and was updated only once on July 25, 2007 to include Iran. A 2008 amendment to the nationality law of 1952 designated 9 countries which are considered an enemy of Israel: Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen, as well as the Gaza Strip. Acquiring citizenship or establishing residency by an Israeli citizen in one of these countries can result in loss of citizenship. Countries that do not accept Israeli passports. Around 20 countries refuse admission to Israeli passport holders: Afghanistan, Algeria, Bangladesh, Brunei, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Malaysia, Oman, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Syria, United Arab Emirates, Yemen. In addition, Iran, Kuwait, Lebanon, Libya, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen do not allow entry to people with evidence of travel to Israel, or whose passports have either a used or an unused Israeli visa. As a consequence, many countries will allow for a second passport to be issued to citizens wishing to circumvent this restriction. See also, Visa Policy of Israel, Visa Requirements for Israeli Citizens, Teudat Zahat, References.